So as they say now's time for something a little bit different. We're going to talk about Chambers 2030 and the magic of the unicorn. This is for Brad Hicks. It's got the phonetic pronunciation there for you, Brad. Unicorn. Unicorn. And what is the unicorn? It's what we all strive to be, right? It's what we want to be in the community. It's what we want to provide for our communities. To be that unicorn that our businesses look for, that our government partners look for, to be that organization, that mythical organization that gets things done. Highly desirable and difficult to find. With that, we're going to take a literary journey. We're going to look at literary genres and how they apply to chambers now and in the future towards 2030. There's a few different types of chambers that we could be, right? Yes, read the little captions. They're funny. So different types of things that we could be. And what does that mean when we talk about literature? Well, first you have the classics. You guys know these. Maybe you recognize these types of chambers. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. We don't know. Hopefully the best, but maybe the worst. Maybe a dystopian future. Scary. Hunger Games, 1984, Animal Farm, Brave New World. Think about the dystopian future, the common theme, and how this relates to chambers. In every dystopian novel, the government has run crazy, right? The government has run amok and controls everything, kind of like California, right? So how does your chamber avoid a dystopian future? You be involved in political action. You get involved in advocacy. You help avoid this future for your chamber and for your community. The next, mystery. You probably have seen these types of chambers. Maybe you have been one of these types of chambers. Murder, intrigue, deception. Not really what you want your chamber to be. Hopefully you're not a mystery chamber where your members don't even know who you are or what's coming around the next page. Probably don't want to be a mystery chamber. Horror. Yeah. Some laughs. They're like, oh yeah, that was my chamber when I started. Maybe that's my chamber today. Do you have clowns hiding in your sewers? Right? Some of those gadflies in your community waiting to say we all float down here. That sounds really fun. Let's go float down here. Oh no. Not really a great thing to be a horror chamber. Romance. Yeah, you're like, where's he going with this? No, I'm not going anywhere with this. Fantasy and science fiction, right? The classic tale of good and evil, right? Again, that applies to all of our chambers, doing good work in our communities, fighting for the betterment of the community. Right? Think about how that applies in science fiction in The Lord of the Rings. Historical autobiographies. Many chambers, many executives in this room started at their chamber taking over for someone who had been there for 20, 30, even 40 years. You have these classic figures, and you look back at them with nostalgia, without recognizing that those figures also had a real life. And maybe we hold them up on this huge pedestal when we look back and have nostalgia. But in reality, we need to be looking forward as well. We need to learn from those leaders. We need to learn from those people in our past, but we need to move forward. How do we move forward as chambers using the historical autobiography and our forefathers as our inspiration moving forward? The real answer to the magic of the unicorn and the real answer to chambers in 2030 and beyond is your favorite novel from your childhood. It's the Choose Your Own Adventure novels. The magic of the unicorn. 27 different endings. At the end of every chapter, you got to choose where you wanted to go. Everything that happened to you, You got to make that choice to say, we want to be involved in advocacy and political action. We want to build a stronger community. We want to provide connections. We want to be that 3C chamber that we know we can be, to be a community problem solver. The beauty of the Choose Your Own Adventure novel, you don't like what happened? You go back, choose a different path. The future is yours. You drive the future. You drive what your chamber will look like. You too can have the magic of the unicorn. So, what does that really mean in a little bit more applicable way for our organizations and for our industry? I would suggest that we have 3 ways we can do that. 3 tangible things that we can take home and every one of us can do in our communities to drive our chambers, make better communities, better business communities, and better organizations internally. Number 1, we need courage. We need to create our own possibilities. Just like in those Choose Your Adventure novels. Go to page 27, go to page 42. If this, then this. Ask those questions, create those possibilities for yourself, for your community, for your chamber. Optimism. We need to remain optimistic on the future. This was talked about with one of the earlier speakers. I'm like, dang, he's a professional speaker and he stole my line. Inspire action. We have the ability in our communities, with our teams, with our volunteers, through the programming that we do and the actions that we take to inspire action around us. We cannot do it all, and we shouldn't try to, but we can inspire action in others. Josh talked about partnerships. Talia talked about different things that existed in communities. Mark talked about God. Good, right? But we can do this. We can inspire action in our communities, and we need to be optimistic about our industry and about our future in order to do so. Lastly, we need to have the courage to explore. We need to explore. We need to exceed expectations. When we do things, we need to do them well. We need to exceed the expectations that we set forth in our membership pitches, in our programming endeavors, and with our government action efforts. We need to go above and beyond wherever we can to exceed the expectations that people put forth for us. So in closing, courage, optimism, and explore. You do those things, you will choose your own adventure.